I'm going to call on stage the guy who makes noise over there. It's his real name. Robin Good, please join me. Hello, Robin. So Robin is Italian. Buongiorno. How are you?
How are you doing?
And we try to, we try to not have only like Americans on stage, right? And Robin, I'm so happy you're here because we should have more Italians at LeWeb'.
Absolutely, yeah.
And more, people. We have 30 countries in the room. I know we have Greeks this year. Where are the Greeks?
Lots
here we
Greeks.
go.
Yeah.
We have. Well, I should go through the entire country list. But so Robin, we met. We have not met actually. We met through video.
No, we've met in person in Redmond some times ago.
But the way I know Robin is mostly with the crazy videos he does, and as you know, I also like video. So Robin, the floor is yours. I guess you're all set.
All right.
Yes.
Thank you.
You're going to talk about education.
Yes, the future education. Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Loic, for having me. Thank you, Geraldine. Controls are here. Computer is ready. See if it works. Yeah.
You're up.
Yes, but the remote control is not going anymore. OK, that'd be nice.
Okay.
No.
You tell me when you...
I don't see it moving. Stuck.
OK, we had to have one of these happen, right?
Why don't we turn off the big screen and we restart it again?
Well, just do it then.
Go on the mouse, select here, window.
OK.
Here. Yep. Here, full screen. Yep.
Please?
No, the one, no. This one, yep. Try to see if he moves.
No, it's okay.
Yeah.
All right.
OK.
Good.
You're all
Yay!
set. Yeah.
All right. So how did I get here? Some people are going to ask because not many people know me. I'm a small independent publisher.
Otherwise, the live stream doesn't take you. You should not to be too close.
I can't go inside there?
If you go too close, you won't be on video.
Oh, OK. That's too bad. I was a Sunday when Loic just Skyped me and said, Robin, you're not going to miss this year conference another time. And I said, look, Loic, I really don't enjoy very much conferences, and I like very much to participate, to do things with others, to participate and share. So I don't think so. And he said, no, but I didn't mean that. And I read his mind. I thought he was going to invite me to a panel of experts. So I said, oh, my God, please don't get me into a panel of experts. I find those the most boring ones because there is little, again, interaction. So there was some silence on Skype, and then he went on and said, oh, no, Robin, what about if you have the stage just all for you? Well, I didn't think for a moment. I said, yes, Loic, let me have it. If that's what you're going to offer me, I'll take it. Because I hardly go to any conference or events, because normally I find that there is too much separation between the presenters and those that are actually attending. So since Loic gave me this opportunity, I'm going to try to make this as enjoyable and participative as possible. The topic for which I'm here today, my contention, my love contention, is that we're going to see, much sooner than you think, a paradigm shift in education and learning. That is, things that we have in front of our eyes that somehow we know, we are going to see with very different eyes much sooner than you think. Things are going to change deeply because we haven't yet turned on the antennas to really use what we already know. That's basically what I'm going to talk about, and it all relates to learning. As a matter of fact, I'm here not because of the things that I've studied or the university I've gone to, but because of all the personal learning I've done to get into becoming a little independent publisher. I don't invoice, I don't bill any more clients. Happily, there is Google and other advertisers who like what I write and just support me directly or indirectly. So, get back to my contention. The big problem starts from having made this association that teaching equals learning. But is this really so? I mean, throughout our life, we tend to think that unless we get some proper teaching, we're not going to learn with the things we know. And so we go through the schooling system, the teaching of what happens there, and we normally think that that is perfectly okay and necessary because that's how we get all of the basic information. Of course, the reading, the writing, the making some basic math, arithmetic, and so on are key things for going through life. And so we just buy into this infinite loop that is broken up by tests and exams. The more we pass a test, the more we score properly, the better we know the answers, the more pieces of paper we get. And so the more pieces of paper, the more likely we're going to get a good job, and the more pieces of paper from a higher paying institution, so is going to get possibly a higher paying job for us. That's what we buy into every single day, what we've bought into ourselves, our parents, and we do for our kids. 99% of the time. But is teaching really equal to learning? Are these two things really to be associated together so automatically? Well, I would like you to take on your investigator's hat and look at things a little more objectively, trying to look through the surface of this. And if I was some alien being coming to Earth and analyzing what is happening inside the schools and teaching situation, I guess what I would see is that there is most of the time some person who knows a lot about something, often doesn't know much about communicating that properly or involving people together. There are a group of people who have to sit down on a specific time and day to be able to supposedly learn those things. Those people are not there together because they like that topic. They are there because they have the same age and they live in the same district. And the things that that teacher gives out to people is basically facts of information that he or she wants you to memorize as much as possible. You got to go home, study, equal, memorize, repeat, read again so that you can come to an exam. And I can ask you those things. And if you answer them well, you're going to go through and ahead in the system. That's how an alien would see things. So very structured, very top-down, very dogmatic. I mean, in school, I wasn't very much invited to ask lots of questions. The things that were told to me were always either right or wrong. Truth is one, just like in the church. And it was very difficult, although it is possible and it does happen, there are great exceptions, to question, to really question your teacher, to ask serious questions, not just the ones that would lead you to find out what would have happened inside the next exam. So if we're really honest, we should see that this is what really is happening in school. While if we look instead at learning, maybe sometime we see something different. But let me stop for a second and mention that that teaching that takes place is really geared, I guess we all agree on this, to make you know something better. But again, with these words, we're making lots of confusion. Teaching is not equal to learning, and knowing means a lot of different things to different people. I mean, somebody comes to me and says, oh, do you know this song? I just heard it on the radio. And I say, oh, yeah, that's cool. I like that. Then the person supposedly knows that song. But what about another person you meet that has heard that song maybe 100 times and knows all the words and the lyrics of that song and can sing them? Does that person know the song the same way as the guy you just met and heard it for the first time in the car? They both know the song. Do they know it the same? I don't think so. What about somebody not only who knew the song, who sang it, who knew the lyrics, but also maybe had danced on it, had found his fiancée with it, or think the guy who wrote the song? Do all these people know the music and the song in the same way? I don't think so, but we all say, oh, I know that song, I know that song. So knowing, we really need to come to grips with the fact that it's a very long gradient of levels. Knowing is not just knowing about something. Real knowing is being one with something, having participated deeply, immersively in something where you can really say, I know that thing. So let me ask you, actually, this is all about love and having people participate. So I got some friends here on stage with me. And these are some very, very special friends. The first one that I have here on stage with me is Jay Cross. Jay Cross, out of California, is the guy who has first introduced the term e-learning. He's a guy who helps organizations understand how learning really takes place informally, at the water cooler, by people exchanging freely their ideas and asking each other, how did you do this? How can you get better at that? So, Jay, let me ask you, what did you learn in school? Can you share?
How important was what I learned in school? Well, schools are for socialization, not for learning. And I was happy to have a good send-off with school, but I learned more in every 6 months on the web than I ever learned at Princeton and Harvard, I can tell you that. It's not what people teach anyway, it's what people learn. And learning's the responsibility of the learner, not the teacher. So I'm a little down on universities, although I know it's good to have research centers and things like that. But increasingly, the knowledge of the past is not the wisdom of the future.
Thank you, Jay. That was valuable stuff. So Jay doesn't have a great respect for schools as they are, at least in the traditional sense. And actually, if you think again about that knowing, there was a movie some years ago from Oscar winner Benigni, the Italian actor and director, that portrayed a situation that really opens up a little bit your view. I mean, with all the knowing, with those 17, 18 years you just spend in school, excluding university, you should know a great deal about this modern life, about all the things we have invented since we were primitives, about the electric light, television, trains, cars, radios, and more. But is it really so? If you were to use a time machine and be sent back 300-400 years in the 16th or 15th century, could you really play the superstar, the superhero, because you could go there with all the knowledge you have now and bring it to them and maybe show them how great it is to build a locomotive or a radio or something else that we're using today and giving for granted? You could not. Actually, you cannot recreate any of these technologies that we have invented over the last 100 or 200 years because we just know that very little about them. We only know just like we've heard a song. We know nothing absolutely about how to recreate a radio, television, locomotive, whatever you think of. And the more we go ahead, the more this technology comes impenetrable to us, because not just the school is segregating the real life and technology outside of the main venue of learning, but the designers themselves, the industrial designers, are making these objects less and less accessible to you. Try to open a transistor radio and fix it yourself. In the 1930s, anybody could open a radio, understanding a little bit of it, and fix it, just like people could do with cars and motorcycles until some time ago, until the electronics didn't come into this. So let me hear also from some other friend I've invited. This is George Siemens out of Canada, one of the evangelists of the new ways of learning, as well as the evangelist of connectivism, a trend in understanding how we can all learn together that is based on connecting with other people and other things. George, what do you think yourself about what you have learned in formal school? Are you moving? It's dead again. So, George, hang on a sec. I'm going to try the same trick as before and see. Somebody needs to help me here. because I can even see the cursor there. OK, there it is. Window. OK, George, what do you think about your formal education? How good it was? Can you tell me, George?
Most of what I learned in the formal education system, especially at a K-12 level, doesn't necessarily have a huge impact to where I am and what I'm doing today. If I was to say what's one skill that's most critical, I'd have to say typing. It's the one skill that I learned in K-12 system that to this day serves me on a daily, ongoing basis. Otherwise, so much of what I need today, I encounter, whether it's a skill that I need to develop, which is driven by passion and interest, sometimes by work requirements, or whether it's knowledge that I need to complete a particular task, whether it's in work or just through my personal hobbies and interests. Almost everything that I use on a regular basis today has come as a result of me wanting to learn it, rather than being forced to or being put in a position where it was part of curriculum. So if anything, our school system today should foster the creation of passion. It should encourage individuals to pursue what it is that they most love doing and eliminate barriers to achieving what people want to actually do.
Yes, George, I agree with you. That's what we should really build, passion. And so if you look at this discrepancy, at this big gap between how learning could be, we haven't really looked into that yet, and how teaching really takes place, you actually wonder, you ask yourself, what are their schools for? I mean, what interest then are they serving? And I've invited another friend now from Finland, and that's Teemu Arena, another innovator, future thinking guy. You can meet around. He is attending the conference himself in these 2 days. And Teemu, what do you think schools are, what interest are they serving these days?
So whose interests schools and universities serve? I think that schools who have adapted something like learning management systems are not really serving learning, but they are serving teaching and control. And from that point of view, these systems are not the best methods for learning. They are more like good methods for managing people, courses, information, but not learning. On the web, people have been talking about personal learning environments. So that's the idea that you construct your own learning environment. And in that world, I see the future of these institutions and universities to be more like learning resource centers. Where you go, it provides a meaningful environment, networks, other people who are working on these things, maybe even coaches who can help you to find the right communities, sort of tap into the right information, and just, come up with your own way of understanding these things. So it's about scaffolding. These institutions will be about scaffolding, and it's not a tied up environment with walls, but rather part of the network itself and interacting with the network at the same time.
Thank you, Teemu. So schools, in many of these people's view, are really going to change, are not really serving the purpose we thought. We build them and use and pay for them every single day. But you remember Jay and his skepticism about schools. I actually went to him twice to ask him again, because I couldn't believe that such a popular guy, a guy known for learning, had such a negative idea about learning. So I've asked him again what he thinks of schools and the useful things that he's learned there. And I would like Jay to go after it.
School, because you're taught things, and only part of that is learned, and then most of that is forgotten because there's a lack of application before you have a chance to really use any of this thing. So what I learned in school is almost worthless. However, school's a great socialization device, and I guess if you think of the learning as not the academics, but learning how to get along with people, well, yeah, I learned some very useful things in school.
And I agree with that. In fact, the best things I learned in school was to socialize myself, to have great fun, trying to have those hours pass as rapidly as it was possible for me. And it all comes down to understand that the metaphor that I see that school has is one of life is a big secret. And you can be successful if you know the secret. The secret is made up of many little secrets that only certified people can tell you. So unless you go and have these magicians tell you what the secrets are, you can go through life successfully. That's basically what we are selling to ourselves. Because until we wake up, we are the ones selling this idea to ourselves. There is nobody out there, a devil, doing this to us. We just need to wake up a little more. So let's jump to the other side. That is, how do we really learn? I mean, do we learn by sitting down and listening to somebody who's been talking for an hour to us without even caring what we're doing so that we can have a lot of fun? I don't think so. And in fact, if you look at it, when you learn to drive a car, I mean, was it the number of classes you did with your driving teacher that make you understand how to move the right and left foot and where to place them? We had to do a few of these, you know, in the parking lot before we could move the car or do a back step. So finding out how to drive a car is not about sitting down and listening to somebody as much as it is not when you want to learn a language. I know a few languages, and I tell you, though I've taken a number of classes in those languages, I really learned how to speak those languages by having a girlfriend from another country, by loving music that was not in my language, and I wanted to know all the words and sing them. And when I sang them, I wanted to know what I was really singing and what it meant. And traveling a lot, that's how I learned how to speak a language. I mean, no matter what you say about the validity of courses and drills, which are good, the amount of benefit you get when you're really exposed and immersed into something is absolutely great. So the same goes for swimming or for even playing a game. I mean, imagine these video games. We all play video games, and how do we learn them? By getting killed 100 times, rising again like the phoenix, and going into forum and asking, and going to friends, going to expert people, finding out on the web where are solutions to get around things, trying again and again and again, making lots of mistakes. How much can you make mistakes inside school? Are you really allowed to make mistakes and to be wrong? If you're wrong, that's bad score. And the game is about having a good score to pass on. So it's very difficult to learn things if you're not allowed to make great mistakes many, many, many times. So let me jump now to the
conclusion.
Proposition part at the end. That is, what should we really learn? What are the things that are important to learn, and what learning is? George?
What is learning for me? Well, I think I'd have to rely on a statement that E.M. Forster famously made, which is only connect. And I think in a very real sense, for me to learn today is about being properly connected to other people, being able to find information when I want, having tools at my disposal that allow me to access different sources of information, and also having a network of people that enables me to reach out, ask questions when I need it. And these networks are obviously based on trust. These are people that I've followed for a while or who I've been aware of over the last several years. So for me, in a very real, very practical sense, my ability to connect to other people is learning for me. My ability to find information sources through easy-to-use tools is learning for me. And ultimately, anything, whether it's policy, government initiatives, copyright, or any other system that puts up barriers between me and my ability to connect to others and information, is ultimately a barrier to my learning.
I'm going to close. I really have a lot more to say, much more, so you're free to get in touch with me later on to know the second part of the story. I'm going to leave you with a couple of things. Rapidly, in 30 seconds, 12 things, not commandments from the Bible, but 12 things that I really think rapidly, in a rush, that everybody should know, and we never get exposed to them in school, and I'm going to be out of this stage. And those things are the same things that if I put you on a spaceship, going to a different planet with your own kids, and your mission is to leave your kids on another planet forever. What are you going to teach your kids on your spaceship in those 3 months of travel you're going to do in space? That's how I thought, and I've been inspired to look at Stephen Downes' work on this. And so the things are how to live healthy, how to read while understanding what you're really reading and not just reading for the sake of saying, I've read this. How to learn and understanding the system and the methods to do that. How to be creative and understanding that anybody can be creative by learning different things and new patterns. How to empathize with other people and feel in their shoes. Loic, I'm almost done. How to tell truth from fiction and understand when news are news and when fiction is fiction, and being able to ask the proper questions and put the proper doubts there. How to predict consequences, not just do things on emotional impulse, but really think what are the consequences, positive and negative, that you can have. Value yourself, live a meaningful life, communicate effectively, and the last two are really important. Learn to ask good questions and learn how to have great fun. The only thing that you can really do without loving, without immersing yourself into it, is learning. Thank you.
Thank you, Robin. What an energy. Thank you so much, Robin.